Trooper Vacho, State Police. I got Trooper Monroe, State Police. We're sitting here with
Stephen Kennon.
Okay. Today's date is March 8th, 2023. Time now is 9:58 a.m. Kennon, K-E-N-N-O-N?
Yes, sir. Stephen with a B, S-T-E-V-E-N.
Okay. Do you know your driver's license number by chance?
008 020275.
I think police officers are probably the only people who know their driver's license. What's your date of birth?
3/15/85.
And that makes you 36?
7 right now.
What's your last grade completed? You have high school, college, master's, bachelor's?
Like a year and a half college.
Year and a half of college, okay.
Or so 12 completed, I guess.
Alright, time is 3. So this is our statement rights. If you want to follow along with me, I'm going to start up here, read these 5 questions. These 5 statements, and I'm just going to ask you questions, and then we'll have you sign at the end. Okay.
All right.
Before we ask any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court or other proceedings. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before questioning, and you have the right to have a lawyer present during questioning. You have the right to a lawyer's advice in the presence of a lawyer, even if you cannot afford to hire one. In such case, a lawyer can be appointed to represent you. If you decide to answer questions without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering questions at any time. You understand your rights, Mr. Kennon?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to do all this together. I just do this as a go by, just so
Gotcha.
people can follow. Are you willing to answer questions at this time?
Yes, sir.
Has any threats or promises been made to you, or has any pressure of any kind been used to get you to answer questions or give up your rights?
No, sir.
All right. Steven, S-T-E-V-E-N?
Yes, sir.
All right, just sign right there for me. So your full name is Stephen Kennon. What was your date of birth again?
3/15/85.
And 37 years young. What's your badge number?
We don't have them. We have unit numbers. 659.
Is that your radio call sign too? 659. Alright. And you work for the Houghton Police Department?
Yes, sir.
What's your current assignment with them?
Patrol canine.
Patrol canine. As a canine, do you have normal duty hours, or do you work on a rotation?
It's I guess rotation really.
Okay. Is it a 12-hour, 10-hour, 8-hour,
12-hour, 11-hour.
11-hour? Every pay period, do you work the same days, or does it?
It changes often.
Okay.
What's needed, or who's off, or what I'm fitting in. It just.
You just kind of fill in where it's best for the department, where they need you.
Yeah, my normal is 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. and then when guys are off, I'll sometimes come graveyard 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay.
So.
And so your off days, are they permanent, or are they changing with week by week?
I'm still on normal rotation, like Freeman and admins. We're all on the same rotation, so we do 2 and 5, normal 12, just like the LSP does.
Okay. On the day of the incident, what were your duty hours?
3 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay. When you were on duty, working special duty or off duty at the time, were you regular duty? Were you working specialty? Were you doing anything canine related? You were just regular
Patrol.
duty patrol? Have you worked any extra duty details, overtime shifts, or second jobs within 48 hours prior to this incident?
Reduce school traffic. I don't know if I worked the days for or not. I can look.
Were you well rested at the time of the
Yeah,
incident?
absolutely. Yeah.
Were you in uniform? Like, were you in a Class A uniform, plain clothes, or some type of tactical canine uniform?
Tactical canine.
Could you describe it for me?
Green duty pants, duty boots, gray polo shirt with a outer vest, duty green outer vest with no patrol gear on.
Is it a police on the vest, I imagine?
Yes, sir.
On the front and back? or
Front and back display, police canine,
Got a nameplate
Kennon.
on the chest and then a
Leg.
badge?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And is that your regular wear for every day that you work patrol or canine? 'Cause I know patrol's different, canine wears something different. Things like that.
Yeah, mine's the same. Only thing different from mine is my outer vest is duty green, not black, but yes, I wear it every day I'm on duty.
Okay. As far as your rig belt or whatever you had on your vest, did you have any less lethal options, and what all equipment do you typically carry on your vest?
On my vest, outer vest, I just carry my magazine and body cam.
Would that be your pistol magazines?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what about your duty belt?
I've got 2 pair of handcuffs, empty can of mace, been there for a few years. My firearm on my right hip and radio on my left hip.
Okay. Do y'all get issued tasers or anything like that? No. Batons, anything? Okay. As far as the condition of your firearm, what firearm do you carry on duty?
The Glock 9mm, Gen 5. That's issued by the department.
Do you know if that's a 17 or a 19?
It's a 17.
Oh, it's 17. Do you have 17 bullets in your magazine?
Yeah.
Magazine?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
How do you normally carry them? Like topped off 17, and you put it in your gun and charge it, and then top it off again?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And then your extra, how many other
Full mag, one of chamber.
full mag? And then your other, do you have 2 or 3 other magazines on your duty belt?
Two mags on my.
On your vest, and they stay topped off,
Yes,
completely
sir.
full? Okay. So the vehicle that you were driving at the incident, and the incident we're talking about, just so we're clear, is going to be on Saturday. There was a pursuit, and then there was a shooting right at the end of the pursuit. You know what incident we're talking about?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For that incident, what vehicle were you driving?
2016 Ford Explorer. Halt PD logos, K9 on the side, patrol car.
And that's going to be issued by Halton Police. Would you describe that as a fully marked police unit?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I ain't gonna call it ghost because it's not, but it's a light gray where it says Halt Police on it.
Is that the type of lettering where if you see it in the light, if the light gets shined on it, it shines real bright?
It's supposed to. I was the first one 6-7 years ago to get one, and it don't really do that much. It's a light gray is what it is.
Okay.
It's supposed to mimic that, but you can still see the daytime.
Do you have a light bar or any kind of police lights and blue and white lights?
Yes, sir.
Is that
Interior.
just on the interior?
Yeah. Push bumper headlights, interior dash, all in the inside of the vehicle.
Yeah.
All the way around 360.
You have a slick top?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The in-car camera, do you have one?
Yes, sir.
Was it activated during this incident? Okay. And go back, you said you kept your body camera on your vest. Was that activated during the incident? Okay. Okay, did you have any occupants inside of your vehicle? maybe your canine dog?
No, I didn't even have him with me at the time.
Okay. All right, and your emergency lights and your sirens, they work, they're operable.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you have a radio inside of your unit?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a mobile data terminal or a computer you work off of?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You weren't working with a partner. Outside of your body camera, was that issued by Houghton Police?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any other recording devices on you, any personal or other departmental? Okay. So just in your own story, just from the time that, you were involved in the domestic?
No.
Okay. So from the time that you became involved in this incident, could you just walk us through the time you heard about it, while you were going to it, things that were happening, and then once the pursuit stopped, what happened there? If you just walk us through it.
I got 10-8, about 3 p.m. That evening. Did my usual running around, getting gas, fuel, all that. Probably around 3:30ish, I'd say. I met up with, my Sergeant Freeman. Prior knew from a text message from the night before, but about a domestic on Thurman Lane. Freeman gave me kind of a little bit of the details that Georgia Thurman got beat up pretty good by her current boyfriend, the Justin Mattingly subject. That morning, Freeman and Jesse issued warrants on the Justin guy, 2 warrants for domestic. They told me she got beat up pretty good, had like 2 black eyes, choked around the neck and stuff like that. That was about it until 4 something. About an hour later, Freeman called me on the phone and said, "Hey, this Justin guy's supposed to be coming back into town. Don't know if going to Thurman's, but we know he's coming." He was on the phone with, I guess, Georgia at the time. So I was sitting, I think over by the Wolf House at that time. I pulled up the LPRs. I got his tag number from Freeman, Texas Tags. I started checking the LPRs, kind of where he's floating around, if he was on the road, whatever. Saw on the LPRs he was floating around South Bossier around noon that day, back and forth and up Sligo. So I had Jason Contreras sit north of town by the interstate in case it came that way. Freeman was on the phone doing his thing. I went south of town, so I started heading south. I planned on going 157 Alpha Road, just staging there for a little bit. See if I can get any hits on LPRs or if I can spot them. As soon as I got to Alpha Road, went south. As soon as I got to Alpha Road, I met him hauling butt coming northbound. I clocked him. He was 80 plus, close to 90 miles per hour heading north. So, my radar, kind of alerted me before I actually saw sight of him. But I slowed down in the middle of the road, and I knew it was him. It was a 2022 GMC pickup, what we were looking for. But, I can tell it was Texas Tags, white male driving. So I was pretty positive it was that guy I was informed about, who had the warrants, and possibly heading back to that residence. As soon as I saw him, I flipped around. He saw me flip around. I turned my lights and sirens on immediately. It was, as soon as he saw me, he punched it. So we started heading north on 157. We were immediately over speeds, over 100, 120 easy. He was passing cars, no passing zone. Ran a few cars off the road going north. That time, as soon as I kicked it off, first thing I did was let my guys know, hey, we're heading northbound. He's heading towards y'all. Then I keyed up, then I immediately told dispatch we're in pursuit. So we got to Delacroix, 157 there right before Pilot. Jesse was staged against 157. I remember him swerving into Jesse's unit, almost trying to T-bone him. He got out of the way of him. We continued 157 north pursuit. I was only unit in it. I know they were trying to catch up at the time, just due to our speeds, blowing through red lights. Went over the overpass, went to Highway 80. once we got to Highway 80, made a left turn on Highway 80. I know he clipped a little silver Ford or Chevy pickup. I think both their mirrors clipped each other. We went westbound on Highway 80. You know, I'm behind him at this point. As far as I know, I'm the only unit that was in the pursuit. He's just driving all over the road trying to get me off of him. We continue westbound 150 or Highway 80. BSO started keying up. They're stationed at Tall Timbers, I think, right in that vicinity. They're laying. I didn't know they were laying spike strips until like the last second. Once we got to Tall Timbers in 80, I knew they had spike strips down, and I knew he ran over them. There was 2, 3, 4 deputies, you know, in the median in front of me, just in the vicinity. I know I ran over the spike strips as well. I continued lead unit in the pursuit. I knew my tire was going flat pretty quick. I knew his front left tire was going flat, which he looked like he had run flats on or something, but his wasn't going as flat as mine were. But we got to Highway 80 at the Church of the Cross, big white cross there. That's where Edmonds was coming to work. He keyed up saying, "Hey, you know, I'm stationed here." I was like, "Cool, take lead unit. My tires are going flat." You know, as soon as we got to that location, I backed off. He jumped in behind. I pulled off to Stockwell at the Circle K and 80. My back rear tire was catching fire. I couldn't go anymore, and Edmonds took lead. I was out of it.
And that was all your involvement in it at that point? You were kind of out of service or out of commission at that point?
Yeah, I got a ride by volunteer pedestrian, but yes.
So whenever you saw him on, let's see, 157 Alfred,
Yes, sir.
you said he was going 80 miles an hour.
Yeah, 80. Yeah, whatever. I knew it was 80 something.
Was that inside the city limits of Houghton?
It's right there on the edge. Like where I clocked him at, yeah, he was right there on the edge. The city limits is probably about 300 yards south of that. So, I mean, at the time he was speeding, yeah.
Okay. Do you know the mile per hour zone that's in? Is that at 55? So he was going well over the speed limit by the time you saw him. And then once he passed you and you recognized and you started to understand that was him or who you thought was him, you turned around and then turned your lights on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so did you turn your lights on before you turned around? Or did you just turn around and then turn your lights on? Do you remember?
I turned around. I mean, I immediately flipped a U-turn and floored it and then, you know, turned my lights on. So I turned around first, then turned my lights on.
And so did he started picking up speed that you could tell whenever you were turning around, realizing you might have been coming after him?
I remember when we made eye contact, and I'm looking at him, truck, license plate, just putting it all together. I'm slowing down to make a U-turn. I'm like, that's my guy. And I'm turning around and I'm looking at him by me and in my mirror while I'm turning around and kind of just traffic. And I see him floored at that time. He's, you know, because I see him cross that center line and just floored.
Okay.
So.
And at the time, okay, then he jumped up to 120 miles an hour. Is that still, was he in a 120 mile an hour zone or was that a 55 mile
55 mile.
55, okay. And at this point you knew there was already a domestic warrant out, an active warrant for him,
yes,
whenever you put it all together?
The time of that, you know, I mean, I can't tell you what's going to happen or whatever. Just, my thought was he was coming back to either finish her off or do harm to her or whatever the case was. I mean, we had warrants, but why is he coming back into town? You know, he don't live there. I know he's dating that girl, but you know, briefly what I talked about Freeman, he was pissed off because he knew that she called the police and we were issuing warrants on him, and so, you know, I thought headed back to her house to harm her more or finish her off, whatever it is. So.
Was there any, whenever you talked to Freeman, you didn't go out to the domestic scene, but you talked to Freeman about it. Did he say, or I guess he gave you a heads up, hey, he might be coming back into town. Was that based off of things that she said, that she was scared he was coming back to hurt her or anything like that? If you don't know it, it's fine, but is that something you might have known?
I know Freeman, before I went south, I knew Freeman was on the phone with her, and I don't know what they talked about. I knew, he was possibly headed back. That's exactly what he told me. When I found out he was possibly headed back, that's when I pulled up LPRs trying to get a location, what direction he's coming in.
Okay. And whenever, during the pursuit and you got spiked, I know this sounds very basic, but could you explain to me kind of what spike strips do and the purpose of them during a police pursuit?
The sheriff's office, they threw a set of spike strips which puncture tires, flatten the tires. So they punctured his front tire and punctured my rear passenger tire. Just a device to enable a vehicle.
Okay. Would you say that's kind of a less lethal type of way to stop a pursuit?
Yes, sir.
Try to do anything like that? For its purpose of deflating a vehicle, was it successful in your vehicle whenever you hit the spike strips? Was the purpose of it intended what it was for? Did it to deflate a tire to stop
Yes, sir.
stop a vehicle? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Did you know anything else about the suspect as far as known to carry weapons or firearms or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I at that exact time and moment, I didn't. After the incident occurred, I didn't deal with him personally. I dealt with a call a few months prior of him pulling up on West Jefferson. It was a third-party call. He pulled up to West Jefferson, pulled a gun on Georgia Thurman's baby daddy. I showed up on scene to try to make contact with Cordell Jefferson, which was, at that time, we thought was a victim of him, Justin pulling a gun on him. But when I pulled up on scene to talk to Mr. Cordell, he fled on foot from me. And then I chased him around the corner down the road to his mama's house. I got back to my unit and then drove down there. As soon as I got to his mama's house on South Cherry, he fled out the back door. So it's like I got my victim running away. I don't have a suspect really to give me any information. So it was kind of ended up being like a disorderly call. We have no information to go off of. We have no victim, no nothing. But it was just reports of Justin Mattingly pulling a gun on Cordell Jefferson. That's the only prior that I can recall.
Okay.
You said you after you flipped around, was driving north around the pilot, there was another officer that it appeared that the suspect swerved towards or something. So, like, how close did he get?
When we were going northbound at Delacroix 157, that's probably a quarter mile prior to the pilot. I knew he swerved directly into to T-bone. He went directly into his path. I backed off in case there was going to be an accident a little bit, and I knew Jesse threw it in reverse, and he also swerved to the left also. So I don't know if he was actually trying, if he was playing with him, but he was a threat at that time.
But it was close enough to where you observed it and said, I need to back off in case he's about to hit him.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I told Jesse that. I thought he was going to kill him at that time. I mean, I thought Justin was going to T-bone him. It'd have been bad.
So the driver was going down 157, and Jesse was coming almost like a T.
No.
He was coming off the road.
No, we're in a pursuit northbound.
Mm-hmm.
Delacroix is a side street. It's a new neighborhood back here. Jesse is just sitting, just parked
on Delacroix.
On Delacroix, and he's I don't know how close he was to 157, but he was just a few feet on the line. Anyways, the suspect vehicle briefly turned into a 3-lane highway, and he started swerving right at Jesse. And I know Jesse reversed and or the suspect vehicle.
Okay, so the officer had to take basically like evasive maneuver
Correct.
to not get hit. Okay, and Jesse, what's his last name? Cutrer.
Cutrer.
Okay.
So at this point, the warrants have been signed. He had active warrants, correct?
I was told that, yes, sir.
Okay. So what would have happened, you flip around, you identify him, you flip around, you turn your lights on, and he pulls over. What would you have done?
Made a traffic stop, probably a felony traffic stop, just due to the nature of the incident the night before, and arrested him on the domestic
who he
warrants,
was, and yeah.
we would have had a good day. Just he'd go to jail for a little bit, and everything would have been peaceful.
I don't remember, Detective Anshi might have asked you, how long have you been in law enforcement?
Just shy of 15 years.
Has it all been with Halton PD, or?
No, sir, I worked for Sibley and Webster.
Okay, so
prior.
approximately 15 years total in law enforcement.
Yeah, at those agencies, you work patrol or
Yes, sir.
specialized enforcement positions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, but I'm sorry. On your LPRs, whenever you, I guess Freeman or Sergeant Freeman gave you the plate and you ran it, did that give you a picture of the vehicle at all?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you actually saw a picture of it prior to it coming.
Yeah, I knew. Well, I ran the tag on ThinkStream to get the make and model, the 2022 GMC Denali or 2500. So I knew it was that, and then I ran it on the LPRs, which was Watchman and Flock, and then when it's hidden on the LPRs, we get a photo description of exactly what the truck looks like.
Okay.
The black.
Is that photo like taken that day at the time that it crosses an LPR?
Yes, sir. I remember distinctly looking at, he hit 71 at Sligo at 12 something that day, and it showed a picture of his truck. It also hit roughly 3:30 a.m. the night of the domestic, I guess, when we left the scene at Sligo in 71, which it was dark. You can't get a picture of it, but I distinctly remember around noon picture of his truck.
Okay.
And once you got out of service near the raceway, did you ever go up to the scene?
Yes, sir.
The active scene?
Yes, sir.
What, did you have any role there? That everything was already code 4 and secure?
Yeah, everything was good. When I got on scene, probably 15 minutes later, Edmonds was sitting in Freeman's patrol car at that time, and I just, at that time my job was just to hang out with him and make sure he was good, and kind of just secure him and make sure everything was good. So until our chief and everybody got on scene. So.
Okay.
During the pursuit, you never fired your weapon?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to tell us that you think is important for us to know that we haven't asked?
I don't think I mentioned earlier when I was kind of giving you the thing. I remember Freeman telling me when he told me about the domestic, and then when he informed me that he was coming into town, that he was like, "Hey, remember this guy could be armed. He could have a gun and stuff like that." So we were taking, all cautions just in case he was armed. If we're going to do a traffic stop and serve the warrants, that's kind of why we would do a felony traffic stop. But which was our attempt to do, but it proceeded more.
And sorry, just describe a felony traffic stop. You just get out.
Yeah, we would. A felony traffic stop, we would just conduct a normal traffic stop. Suspect vehicle would pull over, hopefully into a parking lot. We'd pull in behind them. If a near unit's close by, we'd wait for arrival for a nearby unit. Then I would exit my unit, give verbal commands for the
Is
suspect.
your gun drawn at this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'd exit my unit, draw my gun, give verbal commands for the driver to exit the vehicle, get down on his knees, put his hands behind his head. We'd approach the suspect and handcuff him. And
But it's not. Is it?
No
That's a
force.
common practice.
Yes, sir.
With a felony traffic stop, people who are armed and considered potentially dangerous. It's not
Anytime we have
Uncommon.
violent or domestic warrants and that nature, bodily harm that was conducted, we gotta do a traffic stop on the suspect. We'll do felony traffic stops.
And man, to wrap it up, maybe we talked earlier about Sergeant Friedman, maybe advising that he was armed, potentially armed, was that from maybe something that he heard while talking, to the lady involved in domestic, or is that just y'all experience with him in the past and things that y'all dealt with?
From the conversation that Freeman had with Georgia Thurman, I don't know how the conversation went. I just know Freeman was talking to Georgia and just about him being violent and possibly having a gun, or she believed he had a gun.
Did she describe it at all, or she just?
Later, I found out that it was a gun, possibly with a red tip, or the bottom of the gun was something. The magazine, I don't know. I don't know exactly. I'm kind of just going off of later on, but at that time, I don't know.
And at all during the pursuit, did you wave a gun or show a gun?
Not
Is there anything? Okay. All right. Do you have anything else? Okay. Time now is 10:29 hours. We're going to conclude this interview.